My name is Tom Bell. I work with the Western Piedmont Council of Governments out of Hickory, out west in North Carolina. I'm a GIS analyst. I've been there, been working in GIS 16 years and at the COG for 20. Just wanted to share with you this morning that one of the big projects we work on is building online utilities for small towns. And I wanted to share with you how we did a project for a small town and how we worked with the engineering crew so that, you know, it's kind of engineers and GIS, where do they fit? And I just wanted to give a case study of something that we did I thought was helpful. So the Council of Governments serves an area of 4 counties. It's all the local governments. They combine their authority to let me move this down a bit. They combine their authority and to write grants and give services for towns. So, for instance, we give GIS services to small towns that otherwise couldn't afford it. And we have 5 GIS and 2 GIS planners on staff. And one of the things we did is we write grants, and we worked with the town of Drexel, North Carolina, which is just outside Morganton, to write an asset inventory and assessment grant for their wastewater system. So the project ran from July 2017 to June 2018. And actually the grant was just for wastewater, but while we're at it, we did electric and water as well. And I collected, and mostly Trey collected here on the top right. And we used the data to create online GIS, and we partnered with the town engineers in writing the grant for wastewater. The equipment we use ArcSDE, ArcServer, we use ArcMap 1051, ArcGIS Online. We use Web App Builder to create the web apps and Collector, and we use Trimble to collect in the field. So for our electric, we collected there were electricities, so we collected their entire electric infrastructure. And that's just a little zoom in on what that looks like. And then we collected their water, hydrants, meters, valves, tap lines. And for the purposes here, I want to focus on we collected wastewater. So we worked in conjunction with the Drexel Town Engineers, which is West and Associates, which is in Morganton. And so it's an asset inventory and assessment grant. And so the idea is to inventory everything and then assess the condition of the wastewater system, especially manholes, from an engineering perspective. So instead of West having to go out and inspect every manhole and then do that and then use the leftover money to do actual manhole conditioning work, we went out and inspected them. And they could use what we collected to determine which manholes to service or smoke test. But for us, that was a real learning curve, because normally we would just go out and say, okay, how deep is the manhole? Does it look okay? You know, just basic things. But they gave us 3 trainings on what to really look for as far as inflow, infiltration. We had to learn the frame cover, the riser, what the cone is, what the wall is, roots, mud, what inflow is, what infiltration is. For pipe seals, we had to learn MIC corrosion, what that is, what it looks like. It was a big learning curve for us. Like I said, they gave us 3 trainings, and this ended up being the list of the information they needed to determine which manholes needed work. So, at surface, is it subject to ponding, subject to sheeting? Is there high debris? And then at the right over here, all this. Each questions were asked about the frame, riser, the cone, or the riser, the cone, the wall, and the bench. All those, and then we did an assessment of a score from 1 to 4. So 4 being perfect and 1 being you got to look right at it today. And that came up with a score, as well as other notes that we wrote. So that was 16 attributes on a scale of 1 to 4. So the lower the score, the greater the condition problems. And then West has used this scoring system that was built on what they provided to determine which manholes needed rehab most. And we collected pictures of each manhole and a video of each manhole as attachments. And this was important, we learned. If you're going to do this, and you're going to have it in a GIS viewer, when you take a photo of that manhole, you always do it from the south. Because if you're looking at a manhole in a map and you've got a line coming in here and it's a north-oriented map, if you take a photograph of it, looking down in it, you want it to match up. And you can only do that if you take it from the south. And that's turned out to be very important. All the data was placed to a secure web app. And so the guys at West could use ArcGIS Online, and in the field, as we would go out and collect these manholes, they could look at it. And so it saved them from having to send their team out to each one. We could do it because we were going to build a GIS anyway. And they still got the bulk of the grant to do asset inventory, to do the rehab work on the manholes. One of the best things we did is we were able to detect errors or omissions in previous manhole drawings. So I went from this, which is what is that? You remember that, Trey? To this. And that's actually what it does. And so, the nice thing about GIS is instead of a paper map, it's zoomable, and you can see and see ideas about the manholes. We ended up getting 559 manholes, 538 sewer mains, cleanouts, sewer tap lines. We got cleanouts if we saw them. If we didn't see them, we didn't get them. It's not a big system, but it was an old system. It was put in 60 or 70 years ago, and it was, it was a lot of this, a lot of digging. So with all the entire water, sewer, and electric, it was 11,199 features. Another thing we did is we met with the public works staff to get drawings, as-built and townwide drawings. And so there were two kinds of drawings, really. There's townwide, it's like the whole town, and usually a town has one and they write everything they do on it for 20 years and it starts to crumble. And that's the most important map. And so we took that one, it's very important. And then you have small area maps. And so we asked, what are the most important ones to you? And we would go and scan them. They gave us 74. We scanned them on a scanner, georeferenced them in ArcGIS Online. And then we made a system. So the first is a year. So this one was 1979. And then a unique identifier for the series, because a lot of times you'll have 10 maps, in a series. So it'd be 032. It looked at water, and that was page 1 in the series. So that was how we did that. And so when you're out in the field, you can look, and you can look at a water line. So for instance, this water line, I don't know if you can read it, but it says 1991-21 water, page 1A. And then when you can go into the table of contents, click it, and pull it up. And you can do that on your iPad in the field and say, is there a drawing around here? And you can look and see it. I don't know what that is. So, and we also used as-built, because you could say, oh, there's a valve here. So we would know, there's supposed to be a valve here, we could look for it. The features we couldn't find were codified. If we couldn't find it, we just marked it as about where it is, and we said this is a missing feature, and we just kept all those till the end of the project. And then we went with the town staff for 3 days or so at the end of the project and just looked for missing features with our smoke detectors and metal detectors and probes. So out of those 11,000 features, we had 81 unfound features. And then those can be updated by the town staff when they find them. So we built a secure web app for the town. This allowed town staff to view water, wastewater, and electric features. And town staff who are authorized are also able to update and edit. So the GIS is a living document. The town themselves can edit. They can use a Trimble R1, if they put in a new water meter, or if they find that, in fact, that water line's on the other side of the road, they can change it. And then we provide on-site training, on-call support, and update the software. And we created manuals on how to use things for this town. And I wanted to show you a little bit of the actual app. So this is Drexel's online utility viewer. And this is a town with, 1,800 people? This is a little town. But if you zoom in, of course, here is a manhole. I've noticed the first time you do it on a computer, it takes it a minute sometimes. There it goes. So this is manhole 316, and these are all these variables that the engineers used. Good shape, although mud from top to bottom, possibly from sloped road sheeting. And then here's the photo. So if you look at the viewer and the photo, they match up because you're looking at it from the south to the north. And then a video we would make.
Alright, we got a manhole in the middle of the road here. Coming down the slope road. You can see a lot of mud all throughout, especially on the wall. I'm seeing there caked on there like that. We got 3 culverts.
Yeah.
Pretty much mud everywhere.
So that's just something they could use. And if you click on a line, a water line especially, it'll tell you which as-built you can turn on to see that line. So this is just a town-wide. But what is that? 1996, 08, 01. And you can see, oh, okay, that's what it's supposed to look like. And we also have a tool here that there's a small, so in this area, if you see a purple, that's a small area as-built, a micro as-built. So like this one is 1979. So if you go to the micros, $1979, sorry, 032, page 2. And there it is. You can turn off your tool. And you can see again what's there. And even if you're in the field, you can see what's supposed to be there. And that's helpful. So anyway, that's what we did, and that's how we worked with the engineers. And we just thought it was a good partnership, and we're working with them in other ways as well. So that's all I got. Do y'all have any questions?
886 sewer laterals.
Hey, what?
886 sewer laterals.
Oh, uh-huh.
That's what it's like.
Oh, right, taps.
Taps.
Yes, tap lines.
886 taps. Are they pretty close?
Okay, that's a good question. That's a good question. And we're not surveyors. But we did, I'll show you what we did. So the way to know is how accurate is that tap line, right? And so, and I'm doing this at random, which is always scary. That's right. If you have a clean out, I'm trying to find one that has something here. So like this one has 3 clean outs, sorry. So if you look on a sewer tap line, we have this field called flow confirmation. How sure of it can you be? So it either is got a tap, it's either got a clean out or clean outs, or you can see it flowing directly into the manhole, or it's got a clean out and a manhole, which is the really good thing, or it has nothing. And so if you want to how sure to be on that line, you can tap and see, and it'll say. Also on the water lines, as far as accuracy goes.
Sometimes people tell you, sometimes you see it, sometimes you can see the ditch.
Right, yeah, you can see. So a water line, if it's yellow here, that means you can only see that water line on a town-wide as-built, which isn't all that accurate. But if it's green, it's on a micro as-built. And if it's red, that means it's not on anything. And so that, again, that's an easy way to tell. And you can also see if there's an as-built there as well. Or I say as-built, it could be a drawing. But, yeah. Yes?
I've done that if it's a
Yeah.
sale, I've done it now at the stream and have it record my video, and I'll make a group on both sides of the side of the board.
So, you know, that's a great idea.
And we have the 360 and you don't
That's
have
right.
to find space because you're not physically.
That's true. That's true. That is a good idea. We actually are looking at the ground penetrating radar, though, so we can actually see, and we map cemeteries too, so that helps for that. Yeah.
You've got a lot of what I call dynamic attributes.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as something changes, as soon as they find a manhole, they go out and fix it.
Yes.
It's grade is going to change. 1 through 4.
Right.
You know,
Right.
there's a lot of attributes in there that are dynamic attributes.
Yes.
And is the city really going in and updating all attributes when they make those changes?
Well, we train them too. And some towns really get into it and they keep up with everything, and some of them don't. But we encourage them and we support them.
And it's, that's mainly for the engineers. So
Right. And our engineers, they have it as well, and they can change it if they wish. But our job is depends on how much they adopt it.
Right, so you wanted all those attributes in the beginning,
Right.
which is good at that
Yeah.
point in time.
Right.
But going forward, it can be a lot different.
Right. If you don't keep it up, it becomes kind of useless over time. Yeah.
So kind of one story about the condition of this town sewer system. It's really old. And a lot of times you assume that a line is going to start with a manhole, right? So we looked and looked for what was going on. So we put the camera down. The license plate.
It was just a. I remember that.
So the stubbed out line, you had
I was at the beginning, at the top of the hill.
okay.
It was just a license plate. Yeah. And that was a really older system. It was a challenging system to get through all the manholes.
They were processing so much water, these things were blowing all over town. You would find them where there's a stream just pumping at the bottom of it. I remember back to this.
Was it old enough to have any manholes that were actually like flush tanks or anything like that?
We didn't see that.
They must not. When did you think the town first put in some of this?
30s? Yeah, because the factory was built there then. And the Drexel Heritage Factory was there, yes. Or 20, yeah. Late 20s, yeah. So.
And we saw some weird things.
All right, I guess that's it. If you have any questions afterwards, just see me. Thank you.